Hi there, I'm Bill Olson, Legislative District 7 new chairman. I'm here with Justin Fawson, our House rep, to talk a little politics and inquire a little bit of how we might aid and assist our House rep and the Republican Party here in Weber County. Justin, nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too, Bill. Thanks.
Thanks. Well, I think one of the things that we've kind of talked a little bit about, but I think is important, at least to me, is how the party can be better at financing or supporting you as our House candidate in District 7. I'm not as familiar with the processes in the past, but I do know that it has come to my attention that in many cases the money in politics kind of flows a little backward. It tends to come from the lobbyists to the representatives, and then we at the party are asking for help. It seems that in building a strong party, Republican Party in Weber County here in Utah, that we ought to be able to aid and assist our House reps in order for them to accomplish the things they need to accomplish and to win elections.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
So I think you're right as far as how the money flows, and I think it's really frustrating to a lot of people to see lobbyists be the primary donors for a campaign. I mean, the reality is campaigns cost money, and they cost quite a bit of money. I'd say at the low end, a House campaign could be $10,000 to $20,000. You've got to buy signs, you've got to do flyers, you've got to pay for calls. If you're gathering signatures, you've got to pay for that. So there are a lot of different expenses that rack up.
I think we're in agreement that the flow really ought to be that the party does a lot of the fundraising and then can hand out or contribute to those candidates that the party feels are best representing their platform.
I do think it's important for us to understand our platform and vote for candidates who will uphold that platform and who best represent us. I'll tell you what, the first campaign I ever ran, I didn't want to collect a dime. Yeah. I didn't want to take any money from anyone. I just wanted to campaign and get in front of people. It's really hard to get in front of people without money to do it. Right. I do town halls, and I'll do cottage meetings, and I'll do a lot of social media to engage public in a discussion. But the participation's pretty low generally. I typically get about between 10 and 20 people at a town hall, which can be really frustrating. I mean, we want to share a lot of information. I want to address issues. I think some of the reason for that lack of attendance could be credited to, hey, they think we're doing a great job, and so they're not upset about anything, so they just don't want to take the time to go. Right. But I still think it's important to engage in the conversation, and I need feedback. I need input from our voters. So those are great opportunities for me to get that. But the way that I think that campaign funding should work is that individuals should do some research and find out who best represents them, or hold a town hall with different candidates, or attend a town hall, and then make a small contribution, or ask their neighbors for small contributions. If you're a party platform believer, which I am, then you put your faith in the party, right? Then I think you can write your campaign contributions to the party, and the party should support the candidates. As you mentioned in the past, we've received funding from businesses, lobbyists, or even individuals, and then the party has asked us. I think they've been and I'm not talking about the county party. Let me be really clear.
Right.
I'm talking about the state party.
Sure.
But the state party has very consistently asked us for funding.
In your experience, Justin, how has the legislative district in the past aided and assisted you? Has it been with volunteers? Has it been with contributions? Has it, where have you seen the kind of support?
It's been both, really. Individuals typically make smaller donations. I get some businesses that are local that will make a campaign contribution, which is great. I've run GoFundMe campaigns. I'll typically get a few dollars here and a few dollars there out of that type of campaign. If I do a big fundraiser, for example, I did a concert in the park a couple of years ago. That went pretty well, but there's a lot of expense to that too. Right. I have to pay for people to come and
Sure.
feed people or play the music, and so there are expenses there. So really, I mean, the biggest campaign donors continue to be people who represent different lobbying groups. There are a lot of ways that you can contribute to a campaign. It doesn't always have to be money. It can definitely be time or effort.
Sure.
Putting out signs is probably one of the biggest pieces of labor, I guess, in a campaign that we
Imagine
have.
collecting signs.
Collecting
as well, right?
signs, yeah. Well, collecting signs, I mean, I could send out a few people and they can blanket the city and throw them in trucks and we're
Right.
done. But there are also parades too. I mean,
Mhm.
anything where we have to appear in the public, and I do the parades every year, I think it's a good opportunity to tell people, hey, I'm still here and I work for you.
Right.
And I'm accessible, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
But getting volunteers for a parade, when your opponent has 50 people show up and walk with them in a parade and you have 5,
Right.
it does give the perception that they have stronger support.
Sure. Mhm. How about, I read an interesting statistic that 94% of all campaign contributions coming from out of state into Utah go to the Democratic Party. I think 4 or 6% go to the Republican Party. Why is that, do you think?
I wish I had a good answer for you there. I don't know if maybe some larger national organizations are better funding our Democratic opponents, but I think we really, as Republicans, I think we believe in grassroots efforts, though.
Yeah.
And we look to people locally and businesses locally to help us out. I mean, I don't know why Democrats would look to national organizations for.
Well, so let me ask you this, would
checks.
you be surprised if I told you that in the 2016 election cycle, that Democrats raised more money and spent more money in the election cycle than Republicans
No,
in the state of Utah?
no, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Oh, okay.
I think
It surprised me.
but they're trying to gain ground,
Of course.
and that costs money.
Mhm.
I think there are a lot of interests that would love to see the state flip again.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening anytime soon, but they sure are well funded in that effort. Yeah.
Would you agree that if the Republican Party could be a little more proactive in supporting its candidates and our elected officials, that it may play a different role in the future?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is important for I mean, and this brings up the whole SB 54 controversy. And,
Sure.
And how much of a role the party should actually play in selecting a candidate versus supporting candidates who are there. And I've been a caucus and convention supporter for my whole life that I can remember, and I think it's a good process for vetting. It becomes a little convoluted when you have people who can circumvent the vetting process and go straight to the ballot, but maybe that's a discussion for another time.
Well, aren't we watching that happen in District 3 right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I found that amazing.
Yeah.
Having been a previous precinct chair, now I'm in charge of 26 precincts. And it seems to me, and we've had this discussion a little bit, that maybe some real beneficial ways that we can leverage these precincts to aid and support our House rep. Can you talk a little bit about what you might like to see or what your thoughts are in terms of that?
Sure. And I appreciate your involvement. I appreciate the seriousness, I guess, with which you treat your role in the party. We've got 26 precincts in our district, and if we can spread the work out across 26 precincts, the work is light.
Right.
If our candidates are carrying that load themselves,
Right.
it's really burdensome. It makes a lot of people not want to run.
Okay.
Maybe I could just give you a couple of
Sure.
things that would be helpful for me. Connect via social media and relay those messages out to voters. Social media for me is a really easy way to reach many people and get feedback almost immediately. So I use social media constantly during the session to do surveys and just get a feel for the temperature in our district.
Are you getting a lot of response?
I do on some issues, yeah. Organize cottage meetings, attend town halls, and send out the message when you get an invitation. Send it out to your people. The other thing I mentioned was just spreading the word out. If we could distribute signs through precinct chairs, if we could distribute flyers or door hangers, or if we could ask for volunteers for parades through the precinct chairs. Those would all be really helpful things
Perfect.
for us to do.
Any other thoughts or any other things on your mind you'd like to chat about?
No, I mean, I realize that this is a volunteer effort on my part, that I volunteered for this job, and so I don't have any complaints about it. And if I can't get the volunteers, then I'll be doing the work.
Right.
But I sure appreciate the volunteerism and just involvement, and even if it's $5 or $10 or an hour of your time, it really makes a big difference.
Super. Wonderful. Well, Justin, I appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you today on this beautiful afternoon in your lovely home here in North Ogden. Thank you.